Hello, I'm Christopher Hobbs, co-director of the Centre for Science and Security Studies at King's College London. And it's my pleasure today to introduce you to a new educational resource that we've been developing at CSSS, a set of nuclear security culture playing cards. So in this presentation, I just want to start with a brief introduction, talking about our nuclear security program here at CSSS. I then want to introduce nuclear security culture and explain why it's important. And then I'll move on to discussing briefly the use of playing cards in broader education and training activities. For the second half of the presentation, I want to focus on the nuclear security culture playing cards that we've been developing. Here I'm going to provide you with an overview of these, what the next steps are in terms of us further refining them, and how you can potentially contribute to that process. So by way of brief introduction, I wanted to provide some context on nuclear security work at King's College London in relation to nuclear terrorism and the protection of sensitive nuclear assets. So here there's been a wide range of interrelated activities over the last 10 years, with a particular focus on the international regime, radiation detection for border monitoring, insider threats, and security culture. So the nuclear security culture playing cards are intended to be a new educational resource, which, as I'll discuss, build on some of our research in this area, and we plan on integrating these into the various workshops and training courses that we run internationally for government and industry, and we also hope they'll be useful for others as well. So what is nuclear security culture? Well, past nuclear security instances have highlighted that if there are weaknesses in the human factor within nuclear security systems, this can dramatically undermine their effectiveness. So this has led to increased focus on how this can be strengthened, and the recognition that nuclear security is not just the responsibility of the guard or response force, but that everyone that works at a nuclear facility has a role to play. So this has been promoted via the concept of nuclear security culture, which is deconstructed in IEA guidance, so guidance by the International Atomic Energy Agency, into key levels: personnel behaviors, the underlying beliefs and attitudes with respect to the threat and the importance of nuclear security, the different management systems and leadership approaches that can be put in place to support this, although it remains still a relatively emergent area of both research and practice. Moving on to the use of cards and playing cards for education and training purposes, these have a long history of use in different fields, thanks to their widespread familiarity and the simple way in which they can be used to convey information for raising awareness and prompting informal discussion and debate. Here I've added a few images of a number of cards which are used for military purposes. So at the top are aircraft recognition silhouette cards issued by the Royal Observer Corps in the Second World War to help spotters in identifying different enemy aircraft. Beneath these are a set of playing cards developed by the US Defense Intelligence Agency during the Iraq War to help troops identify the most wanted members of Saddam Hussein's governments. These contain photos, addresses, and the jobs of key individuals. And then at the bottom is a card from a set of cultural property protection playing cards issued by the Norwegian military, which is aimed at raising awareness of archaeological issues and the need to protect a wide range of cultural property in conflict zones. As for the development of the nuclear security culture playing card deck, we took particular inspiration and advice from the Centre for Military Ethics here at King's College London, who have developed a deck of playing cards which seeks to raise awareness of ethical issues and challenges faced by the military in service worldwide. And these have been widely used by armed forces and translated into 7 different languages. So moving on to the nuclear security culture playing cards that we've developed here at King's, and which you can see illustrated here at the bottom of this slide. So the pack contains 52 questions related to different aspects of nuclear security culture. In formulating these, we've sought to identify how the human factor in nuclear security systems can break down, and drawing on past instances, in particular several cases outlined in some of the case study handbooks that we've developed over time. We also tried to extract crucial characteristics of nuclear security culture from international guidance and also our work with practitioners. And you'll see here that each card contains a question or a couple of short questions which are linked to supporting materials via a QR code on the back. So we've subdivided questions on these different playing cards into different categories which correspond to key levels of the IEA's nuclear security culture model. So clubs focuses on behaviors that can potentially reinforce or undermine security. Hearts explore the underpinning threat perceptions that drive these behaviors. Diamonds examining the issues of different leadership approaches and management systems, and Spades consider broader issues. So for example, the interaction between the operator and the regulatory body, or the overlap between nuclear security and safety. We also wanted to pose certain scenarios to the users of these cards, which are reflected on the face cards in each of these suits. And you can see an example here for the Jack of Spades on the right-hand side. As to how the questions are worded, in general, these are largely open-ended in order to encourage users to think about security culture and related issues in their specific organizational and national contexts. And as mentioned, it's possible to access further information about these issues via a dedicated website that we've created, where each card is linked to a specific page on this website via its QR code, which also contains further reading. Okay, so now to have a look at one of the cards, the Three of Hearts, which is part of a suit that aims at exploring threats to nuclear assets. So this poses two seemingly simple questions related to the threat posed by insiders. However, this is an interesting area of debate and research, with studies hinting at a disconnect between perceptions of the threat posed by insiders within the nuclear industry and what that threat really is. Moving on to another card, the Three of Spades. This seeks to explore issues around how nuclear safety and security can sometimes conflict and how these conflicts can be resolved. You'll see the primary question here is presented as a statement, which participants are asked to agree or disagree with a follow-up question designed to initiate further discussion around specific scenarios. So in terms of next steps, we've developed this initial deck of cards and questions. And what we'd like to do now is really solicit wider feedback on the cards and when necessary or appropriate, look to revise and improve these, as well as the associated information contained on the website. We'd also like for those that are interested to invite experts and practitioners to produce, short videos, so maybe sort of 30 seconds to a minute in length or so, providing some of their take on answers to these different questions. Again, this idea of sort of learning peer-to-peer is found to be particularly powerful in different settings. And again, we'd like to incorporate that into this resource. In terms of getting access to the cards, so they're currently freely available at the link that you can see there on the slide. And if you'd like to take part in this or even just provide feedback on a card or a particular set of cards, then please email that to the web address or to the email address, that you can see on the bottom of that slide. It's also possible, will be possible to order a physical deck of cards, which we're going to produce and offer just a cost price, so a couple of pounds or so. And again, it'll be possible to do that via the website. So in terms of key KCL contributors, so again, this was a large effort, 52 playing cards, 52 associated pages on the website, so tens of thousands of words of text. So we really involved sort of the whole KCL nuclear security team in this, and you can see them on this slide. So in summary, what we've tried to create here really is a new educational resource aimed at furthering engagement on issues related to security culture, both within industry as well as in other settings. It is still a work in progress, and we do hope to refine the deck and associated website in the coming months, following feedback hopefully from yourselves and others within the broader nuclear security community. That ends this presentation. Thank you very much for listening. And again, if you've got any questions or you'd like to get in touch with me, my information is listed on this slide.